the long-awaited next build of the channel. We are here with my 1975 Kawasaki G3SS that I've had shoved under my workbench for about the last 2 years. Here it is, guys. I'm gonna take you through a walkthrough of this thing, and then we are gonna be tearing this bike completely down. The plans for it are to do a full frame-up build on, which I'm excited for because it's gonna be a challenge finding parts and getting this thing pristine with the age of it. Hopefully we don't have too many problems, but let's go ahead and take you through a walkthrough of this bike and see what we got going on. And then after that, what we're gonna be doing is doing a full teardown of this thing, getting it down, stripped to the frame, and then address from there. So here she is, up close and personal, the 75 Kawasaki G3SS, 100cc two-stroke, street legal, absolute little killer machine. Get you guys a close-up of the engine here. You can see we're missing a carburetor. I do have that. She has been beat throughout her life. I'm pretty sure she's on the stock tires from 75. They are pretty bad, pretty dry rotted. We've got quite a bit of work ahead of us. It does run and it has pretty good compression, but I'm still gonna go into the engine and reseal it, re-gasket it. We've got a couple of leaks happening there. And for some reason, I think this thing holds about 9,000 quarts of oil, because it just never stops leaking. I swear, it's like an old Harley Davidson. Here's the back end here. You can see we've got chain drive, drum brakes, all the classics of an old bike. This thing, what I'm planning on doing with it, like I said, is a full frame up build on it. And we're gonna make sure that this thing is riding on the road, because I think it's gonna be an absolute blast. But look how simple this little engine is. We've got a cylinder, exhaust, intake. We've got our, I think, probably points ignition over here. And then moving on to this side, we've got our carburetor, which is actually under the engine cover on this. It's pretty interesting. And this does have oil injection, which I'll be honest, I plan on bypassing, because oil injection can be super reliable, but I just like good old fashioned premix. We've got our front tires here. Definitely in need of some air, some tires, some tubes. I've got a pretty extensive list for this bike already. Here's our gauge cluster up here. This bike has been sitting for about, I would say, about 3 years now. It does run and drive, like I said, but it needs quite a bit of work. We've got some fairly aggressive leaking happening under the cases. I am super excited to start this build. I don't want to reveal what I'm doing, but my brother actually gave me a phenomenal option for the colors on this thing, so I'm gonna do that. So I just want to make it clear, I'm not planning on doing a restoration on this. I am planning on doing a build on this. So I'm not gonna go black to red. I'm not gonna do any of that. It's gonna be kind of a full custom look for this thing. So I am super excited. It's gonna be an absolute little ripper. I've got a pretty extensive parts list already happening here, and I've got the last one covered because that's gonna spoil something for it. But this is the stuff I know I need for sure. So let's go ahead, not waste any more time, and get into the teardown of this 1975 Kawasaki G3SS. So like any good build, I think the first order of operations, I usually start with taking off the fuel tank. And we have got, of course, a hose clamp that was put on here in the weirdest way possible. So step one, remove hose clamp. Flip up our seat here and then see what we need to remove this fuel tank. It's a puzzler, they say. Work this puppy off here. Come on, baby. And just like any build, especially on this one, it's gonna be extremely important to stay very organized, because like I said, this bike is pretty old and I'm worried about finding parts for it as it is. So I gotta make sure my organization on this build is absolute tip top. Did pretty good on the YZ in my opinion, but yeah, I can't afford to lose anything on this bike because there's the fear that I won't be able to find it again. I actually am excited for that challenge of not being able to find the parts. It might be hard trying to get these episodes out. It might make this build a lot more challenging, but I'm kind of excited for the whole hunted for parts thing. I think it's gonna be kind of cool. Or if we just have to make something work and we got to get creative, I think that's gonna be exciting too, because I really like being able to kind of get creative with a build. I think it's super fun. Okay, seat is removed. Also, let me know what you guys think of this first person angle here. I got this little chest rig going, so I figured might as well use it. The other cover is off, revealing our oil tank. This is the most exciting part of a build, is kind of figuring out what you want to do with it. You know, the possibilities right now feel endless, so get this kicker off here. Let me know if you guys got any ideas for this build or what you think would be cool. Let me know down below, please, because I'm always open to new ideas and I love seeing build creativity. So if you guys have a cool idea, let me know down below because I'd love to hear it. Ooh, that's pretty interesting looking there. So here we have our oil pump that is throttle driven. So when this throttle opens, this oil pump has some mechanisms in there that realizes what throttle position you're at and it injects the oil from there. So right now in the closed position, it won't be pumping that much oil. But when you do throttle down, you can see I just moved the throttle a little bit. That valve opens and allows more oil to be injected into the cylinder, which is a pretty cool design. Oil injection pumps tend to be pretty reliable, especially if you take good care of them and you maintain them and you make sure that your cable's adjusted properly. Usually you don't have to worry too much about oil injection. I've had some bad luck with them, but mainly that's been on snowmobiles and jet skis and stuff like that. So I do have a little bit of a negative outlook on them, but honestly, it's not the oil pump's fault. It's more or less a lot of times the user's fault or the machine's maintenance a lot of times on these. So maybe, just maybe, I'll keep the oil injection for this thing. I don't know. You're out. Impact extension chrome socket. That's the way we do it. Wow. Probably the first time this cover's ever been off. Oh, this chair doesn't roll very good. So, engine's out, as you can see. Always one of the best things to do during a build, or one of the most satisfying. It makes you feel like you're really going. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull off the bars, the wheels, the fenders. My goal today is to get this thing completely stripped down, complete frame. So, yeah, let's go ahead. Holy cow, that's a lot of wires. Whee! Lift is so nice. I've seen a lot of rat's nests as far as the wiring goes, and this is no exception. Holy cow. I'm over these zip ties, I ain't gonna lie to anyone here. Or cable ties, whatever you call these, honestly. Never gonna give you up, it's heavy. Man, I really hit that note. What's going on? I'm hitting it. Pandora goes hard. Sorry forever how I just offended, but Spotify ain't it. It's all about Pandora. I ain't kidding either. Spotify, Pandora. You just don't get the autoplay like you do with, never mind. Okay, I'll say it. In my opinion, the autoplay on Pandora, way better. And I love autoplay. I've never been a playlist kind of guy. I ain't gonna lie. I don't make playlists. They've had me on Pandora Premium for about 10 years, so that's where I'm sticking. That is a mess. That is a mess. That's just overstimulating to look at. Release. Whew. That rear fender was brutal to remove, I'm not gonna lie to you. Man. Okay. You know, this frame is a lot bigger than I thought it would be. Obviously, I mean, you could see the frame, but I figured stripped down this bike would look a lot smaller than it was. And my sandblasting and powder coat wouldn't be quite as bad, but it looks like it's gonna be pretty much equal to the YZ. Get out of there. Okay. What? That was not what I was expecting, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. That'll be fun trying to find those parts. I'd say that's leaking pretty bad. Yeah, definitely need to rebuild those. Okay. I regret that so much. Oh. Ball bearings just went flying everywhere. Oh, I regret that. Oh. Let me guess, top and bottom. I'm gonna cry. There's so many. And there's no way I'm gonna find them all. Well, it's down to the frame, even though I wanna cry right now. We started with a fully put together 1975 Kawasaki G3SS and we're ending with just a frame. We have stripped this bike completely down, so now we are ready to begin sandblasting, powder coating, tearing the engine down, and everything in between. It feels super good to be back to just having a frame, and now it feels like the possibilities are endless. I'm still not 100% certain what I'm gonna be doing with this build, but I have a pretty good idea, and I think it's gonna be really, really cool. Just to remind you guys, I'm not planning on restoring this, I'm planning on building this. But I'm not necessarily gonna restore it or modernize it. What I'm gonna do is kind of give it like an old, a flair that could be happening back in the day or could be happening now. I think it'll kind of be, what's the word I'm looking for, but something that doesn't really sit in a time frame. I just think it's gonna be a cool bike. I think what I wanna do is build it to be the ultimate little street cruiser, the ultimate little round town grabber. So thank you guys for sticking around to episode 1. Stay tuned for episode 2. What we're probably gonna be doing is diving in the engine on this little mule. So what we're gonna do is tear that down and hopefully see there's nothing horrible wrong in there. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching and stay tuned for episode 2.